the UFC on Fox 2. I know I'm getting this video in very late, um, later than most others. I know most people have gotten this in a week ago. This video in, I'm very late. I understand that the fight was very uneventful, very uninspiring. The only fight I was really interested in was the Chael Sonnen versus Michael Bisping fight. I feel that I already knew that Rashad Evans was going to walk right through Phil Davis. Phil Davis is very overrated, very one-dimensional fighter. Basically, just a wrestler that's trying to be a MMA fighter. The guy don't even didn't even want to strike. He's not even confident when he throws a punch or a kick. So you saw what happened. Rashad Evans basically um, just walked right through the guy. But that's the way I picked the fight. I actually picked Rashad Evans to win that fight. Um, the fight between John Jones and Rashad Evans. That's the fight everyone want to see. I want to have predictions about that fight later on in another video. But as for the Michael Bisping Chael Sonnen fight, I was wrong about this one. I was right in picking the decision for Chael Sonnen. I picked Chael Sonnen for the win, but I was wrong in his method, in his performance. I basically thought that Chael Sonnen was just going to walk right through Michael Bisping, and I was extremely wrong. Um, it was a very close competitive fight. Not very interesting fight at all, but it was still a very close and very competitive fight. Chael Sonnen, I'm gonna tell you just like this. I'm not I'm not a fan of Chael Sonnen at all. I really don't like the guy. Yes, he's funny. He is entertaining. Sometimes he have me cracking up, but the guy is just too disrespectful. He's too disrespectful to other fighters. The only fighters that and I mean that Chael Sonnen actually like is the fighters that he know personally, or fighters that he has trained with or have wrestled with or whatever. I've seen like he doesn't really have no respect for any fighters that he don't know personally. Um, he also he just appears to have no respect for mixed martial arts at all. He's very um, critical of jiu-jitsu. I mean, if you feel that way about mixed martial arts, why are you even in the sport? Um, he brings kind of a Chael Sonnen brings kind of a spirit of bigotry with him, a very negative spirit. Even though he is a perfect troll, he's the ultimate troll. He's very entertaining at that as well, but he still brings a negative spirit with him, and that's very unfortunate. Before Chael Sonnen came along, there's was really no big problems with Brazilians. I mean, most Americans didn't even know where Brazil was at. You ask most Americans, most MMA fans, they probably couldn't point Brazil out on a map to you. Um, I have no problem with Brazil. Most Americans don't have no problems with Brazil's, but it seemed like when Chael Sonnen attacked Brazil, that he kind of opened a window up for a bunch of bigots, and that's what you see on MMA forums now. You have from Sherdog to all kind of other MMA social communities, all kind of bigots just coming out trashing Brazil, all kind of racist stuff, very racist stuff. Things you just didn't hear before the Chael Sonnen showed up. Before in the past, you might had when a Brazilian fought an American, you might have heard some nationalism from Americans. You may hear USA, USA, or America, America, or whatever. In favor of the American fighter. A Brazilian fighter might get booed or whatever. But now it's just blatantly vicious things that's being said about Brazilians now on these forums. And thank you, Chael Sonnen, for opening that window of bigotry into MMA that that wasn't there before. So, hey, I know a lot of people like him, a lot of people love the guy, but hey, he still opened up a can of worms, just negativity he brought into the sport. That's unfortunate. If you want to trash Anderson Silva, you want to trash Brazilian fighters and their fighting style, go ahead. But in his latest quote, he said about Brazilians, he said, if those blowhards come at me with their blow darts, blow darts, really, blow darts. He referencing again he's saying that there's tribal. He's connecting that to tribalism again. He's saying that they're primitive because they're using blow darts. I mean, things like that is just this is unnecessary, very unnecessary. And I don't understand why he continued to have Brazilians helping him train. I mean, I don't understand that. People say, well, he's just promoting the fight. Yeah, he's promoting the fight, but he also believes a lot of the stuff he's saying. He believes it, So anyway, enough of the character of Chael Sonnen. Let's get into the fighter, Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen, a very accomplished wrestler. Michael Bisping, a very accomplished striker. In this fight, thought that Sonnen was going to walk through Michael Bisping. I don't remember Chael Sonnen losing any rounds in a fight in a couple of years, I think. When he went in there, Michael Bisping totally surprised me. He basically controlled Chael Sonnen on the fence, and I think that the judges should at least factor that into their scoring, that Michael Bisping, a guy that's not a wrestler, that's a striker, controlled a wrestler. That's big. That's a big deal. He basically controlled Chael Sonnen on the cage, especially in the first round. Personally, I give the first and second round to Michael Bisping. But in this current state of judging right now, the way that it is judged in MMA, basically all a fighter have to do is just take you down, and then win the fight. I mean, this sport and the judging method really caters to wrestling. And there's hey, and there's nothing wrong with that if you have no problem with wrestling. But the thing is this: wrestling is not going to sell the sport. I mean, yes, you're going to get a lot of athletes from that sport, but I'm telling you like this: wrestling is not visually as pleasing as a punch or a kick or a submission. It's just not. And the way you grab your casual fan or whatever is by knockouts, cool, spectacular submissions, things like that. You have to understand, the UFC, MMA fans and UFC fans live in a bubble. We think that if we just present this sport on television, that everyone is going to fall in love with it like us. No, most people think, number one, most people think that this sport is a blood sport. They don't like it. They will come up with anything to hate on the sport. So you have to really sell the sport. And what happened, UFC on Fox 2 is not going to bring in casual fans. That's going to be the only way the UFC is going to grow and survive, is to grab in casual fans and turning those casual fans into smart MMA fans. That's going to be the only way they do it. But back to the fight. Chael Sonnen dominated Michael Bisping in the third round. But even there, I think that Michael Bisping did get a takedown, did do enough not to totally get blown away in that round. Of course, the judges saw it the other way. I mean, I wasn't really surprised that they gave it to Chael Sonnen because it was a close fight. I didn't believe that. Me personally, I thought Michael Bisping won the fight, but I thought he won it I thought he won a close fight. I didn't think. Of course, I didn't believe that Michael Bisping blew Chael Sonnen out. But I never saw Chael Sonnen hurt like that. I never seen Chael Sonnen controlled like that. So um, it was an interesting fight. Not very spectacular or anything, but it was interesting. I can't wait to see the rematch between those two. But as for people saying that Michael Bisping would have destroyed Anderson Silva, a lot of MMA fans are total idiots. Just because Chael Sonnen put a whooping on Anderson Silva, and just because Michael Bisping basically controlled Chael Sonnen, doesn't mean that Bisping is gonna dominate Anderson Silva. You can't judge a fighter by his last fight. Every fight is different. There's totally different variables in every fight and in every match, and in just every fight is different. For example, Damian Maia basically dominated and destroyed Chael Sonnen first round. Okay, Chael Sonnen stomped out and beat up Anderson Silva for 5 rounds. Okay, basically, but Anderson Silva toyed with and dominated Damian Maia. So every fight is different. And Michael Bisping neutralized Chael Sonnen strength, which is wrestling. He basically neutralized it. So he neutralized Chael Sonnen strength, okay, which is wrestling. Now Anderson Silva's strength is striking, okay. Michael Bisping is a striker. So if they fight, it's going to be a totally different fight. Bisping is not going to fight Anderson Silva the way he fought Chael Sonnen, okay. Anderson Silva is now if Michael Bisping can neutralize Anderson Silva's greatest strength, which is striking, which I severely doubt, then Michael Bisping was the most underrated fighter in UFC history. But I highly doubt that. I don't see Michael Bisping beating Anderson Silva that way. I don't see him outstriking Anderson Silva in that way. He could beat Anderson Silva. I'm not saying that Anderson Silva is unbeatable and Michael Bisping can't beat him, but he's not gonna dominate Anderson Silva like people were saying. Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen, that's the fight everyone wants to see. I think this fight is going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be, I wouldn't say it's going to be a close fight, but it's going to be much more competitive for Anderson Silva. I don't think, I know Anderson Silva is not going to get caught in the first round like he did in the first round, the first time he fought Chael Sonnen. He's not going to allow that to happen the second fight, number one. Number two, I think Anderson Silva will change up a lot of his method of attack. He have to create space with Chael Sonnen. The thing about Anderson Silva is this: Anderson Silva's greatest weakness is Chael Sonnen's greatest strength. Anderson Silva's weakness is wrestling. Chael Sonnen's greatest strength is what? Wrestling. So when you mix those two together, it's just a disaster for Anderson Silva. Basically what happened in the first fight, Chael Sonnen caught Anderson Silva with a punch. Yes, he caught Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva was hurt. Anderson Silva back did not touch the ground. People that say that is very have their beer gargles on. They have their Anderson Silva hater shades on or whatever, because you know these guys is intoxicated with hating Anderson Silva so much. When they watch the fight, they totally see something different. Chael Sonnen caught Anderson Silva with a good punch. Anderson Silva was hurt. He went down. He went backwards a little bit. Okay, that's all that happened. Anderson Silva regained himself back. He got caught with a few other punches. Then Anderson Silva actually threw his hands down for Chael Sonnen to punch him again to say, hey, you did not really hurt me, even though he actually did hurt Anderson Silva in the first round. But after that first round incident, Anderson Silva won every striking exchange after that fight, after that incident. If you don't believe me, fine. But go back and watch that fight again. If you don't believe me, if you really believe I'm full of shit or whatever, go back and watch that first fight between Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen. Anderson Silva won every striking exchange after that incident, after the first round incident or whatever. Anderson Silva basically was dominated. What people interpret for Chael Sonnen outstriking Anderson Silva was this: Anderson Silva getting hurt in the first round, number one. Number two, they don't like Anderson Silva, so whatever is done against Anderson Silva is magnified. Okay? Number three, they interpret this as Chael Sonnen outstriking Anderson Silva. Chael Sonnen basically did what he was supposed to do. He didn't allow Anderson Silva to work on the feet. He threw Anderson Silva down to the ground, roughed him up, beat him up for 5 minutes every round on the ground. He held him on the ground and basically punched him. And that's what you're supposed to do if you're a wrestler. And that's what you're supposed to do if you want to beat Anderson Silva. Okay? He did that for the third round. In the fourth round, Anderson Silva was able to catch some space. Anderson Silva actually got some rhythm. I think what happened was Chael Sonnen fell asleep a little bit. He got too relaxed. He probably thought he had this in the bag. And Anderson Silva started to open up. Now, people need to watch the fourth round. The fourth round, Anderson Silva actually started to open up. And he actually put Chael Sonnen on his butt in that round with the elbow. So people really need to watch that fourth round again, because Anderson Silva really, and I notice when people make highlight reels of that Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen fight, they usually always cut that fourth round out. I wonder why, because that's the round that Anderson Silva did very well in. The fifth round, same thing that happened in round 1, 2, and 3, but Anderson Silva pulled off the miracle submission, because Chael Sonnen, once Chael Sonnen gets tired, sometimes Chael Sonnen lets his guard down, and that's what happened. He let his guard down, and he got caught, and he got submitted. But what Anderson Silva have to do is this: Anderson Silva have to make the fourth round his first round, meaning Anderson Silva has to get started faster in the first round. He has to create space. Of course, he can't let no wrestler catch him with any lucky punches again. That's number one or whatever. Number two, he has to create space. And number three, Anderson Silva usually don't get warmed up into the second round. He's got to do that in the first round to even keep it competitive, because Chael Sonnen is going to come at him like a train. For Chael Sonnen to win is basically he has to do the same thing. Chael Sonnen basically may have to modify a few things, because you have to understand Anderson Silva is going to be prepared for Chael Sonnen now. He's not going to underestimate Chael Sonnen or whatever, and Anderson Silva is going to be 100% and going to really come at Chael Sonnen. So Chael Sonnen may have to adjust a few things here and there, but we all know what's going to happen. Chael Sonnen is going to hold Anderson Silva down, probably beat him up, a few rounds. It's gonna be a little bit more closer fight, but Chael Sonnen is gonna win a decision win and become the new middleweight champion. Unfortunately, in Brazil or whatever, but I don't think nothing will happen to the guy. They just need to get the guy out of there. Do not, if he beat Anderson Silva in Brazil, Joe Rogan, do not give him the microphone with that WWE stuff, because all he will be doing is provoking people. And I'm just saying this, it's not beyond Chael Sonnen to trash Brazilians in Brazil, and if you do that, then it's going to be a problem. But I'm going to get into more detail into Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen 2 in the future, because that's the end of this video. Thank you for listening. If you did, if you like this video, come back. I will be making more. Peace.